Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're watching us and listening to us. So yeah, my name is Eugene Lesechko, and I'm the Associate Sales Director at SplitMetrics. I've been in the digital and performance marketing and advertising industry for about 14 years in various roles. So I had a chance to observe many changes in our space, from rise of the big whales to privacy restriction. So today we have an amazing panel on evolution of Apple search ads and effective user acquisition strategies for 2023. So without further ado, let me introduce our wonderful panelists. Niels Binnen, partnership lead at Singular, a seasoned business leader with an international network and a decade of experience working with a fast-paced startups and tech organization in sales, online and mobile advertising technology. Romuald Gomez, head of marketing at Impala Studios. Romuald was a precursor of App Store optimization in Brazil with his own startup back in 2012. In 2020, he founded Easy App Reports, and in 2021, launched the first ASO courses in Portuguese. This year, he started a weekly newsletter where he shares learnings from his journey. Ekaterina Samahovets is a lead user acquisition manager with a 9 years experience in UA. She has been working in the web and the mobile sphere with games, business and lifestyle apps. And Maxim Kasyanik, user acquisition team lead, 13 years of successful marketing experience, including 5 years in gaming industry and 4 years experience in the mobile app industry. Welcome, guys. Please note the format of this panel is Ask Me Anything or simply Q&A. So I strongly encourage you to start sending your questions to our chat so our panelists can answer them. So the year was 2008. Apple just launched Apple Store. The number of apps back then were only 500. When Apple launched the Apple Search Ads channel in 2016, they had almost 2 million apps in the store. Based on the latest research, in 2022, Apple tripled its market share compared to the first half of 2020. With 5% year-over-year growth in the market share, Apple Search Ads became one of the 3 largest advertising markets in the mobile industry, with a huge opportunity to increase this number. So, what to expect from 2023? Let's get started with the questions from the audience about Apple Search Ads and user acquisition strategy for the next year. And the first question is, okay, what are the best practices for lowering cost per tab and cost per install in the age of privacy when we lack analytics? Who would like to answer?
I can probably answer that one, because it goes into analytics. I think there's a bit of a misconception of 2 things that we're looking to achieve here. Like, of course, like based on the business that you're looking to run, like the cost per install is very important, the cost per tab is very important. But actually, what people are looking at is ROI. As like, how well are my campaigns performing, and what is the actual return for my business on the user level? Now, there's like 2 inherent problems with scan. Like, one is like, the amount of data that you actually receive, like, the postbacks you have to like choose from, like, what kind of funnel are you going to use? And 2 is like the data censorships, like what data are you actually receiving and how do you then enrich that, right? So that is like an iOS problem. That's not an Apple Search Ads problem. That's an iOS like generally speaking. So when it comes to analytics and when it comes to like understanding like your complete like iOS campaign performance, what you can do is actually make sure that you have all the data like in front of you, like in the report. So that is actually having like everything you get post back like from scan, and that is enriching that data and modeling like the missing metrics there. And that is where data analytics and data science comes in. And then you can start calculating your ROI. So that for me also goes like for the Apple Search as a channel. Don't focus so much on that like cost per tab or like on your cost per install, whatever you're going to measure. Look at like how profitable the users are that you're going to get on the back of it.
Right, got you. Great answer. Thank you very much, Niels. So next question is related to the recent launch of new placement in App Store. So the question is, do we need anything extra to start testing new ad placement in the App Store? Any volunteers?
Yes, I'm here. So let me get over to you. Thank you, Eugene. First of all, thank you for warm intro. It's my pleasure to be here today, and I'm looking forward to a great discussion. Regarding the question, as you know, there are two new placements at Apple Store, and I'd like to begin with the basics, product page while browsing. To start testing this placement, we need nothing extra, actually nothing. Of course, it would be nice to have an app, at least, and Apple Search Ads account. If you got one, so just set up and test it. If you're talking about Today tab, then you have to create a custom product page, which should comply with both App Store Connect and Apple Search Ads guidelines, and should be reviewed by both teams. I can say that in this way, custom product page is like creatives in common usage. So it's important to create proper one. Here at SplitMetrics agency, we do have some experience with custom product pages, as we create dozens of them for our clients. And our hypothesis is usually based on specific audiences, users' needs, different keyword clusters, features, and app functionality. So I can say, I think that, by the way, there is one thing you should know. You won't be able to run new placement if your app is related to dating, gambling, trading, adult category, and so on. It's a no-go on Apple Search Ads. That's all I have to say, maybe, yes.
Okay, great. I love your answer. At least you need to have an app. That's a great answer. Okay, we have another question, which is actually about the customer product pages. So is it worth to spend time and money on creation and testing of customer product pages?
Yeah, I can take this.
Can I answer here?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, you can go, Katarina. Yeah, sorry.
Okay, thank you. It's absolutely worth it, in my opinion. We started CPP testing from the moment it was launched on Apple Search Ads for all our apps, because we believed that this feature would work. And our expectations were justified here, and we saw an improvement in our metrics quite soon. So I can say that using CPPs immediately after it was launched was a competitive advantage, which was proved by numbers. But now everything has changed. If your app is in App Store top category or you want to be there, it's unlikely that you haven't tested CPPs yet, as well as your competitors. Moreover, if for some reason you don't yet have CPPs, then most likely you are below the industry benchmarks. So working with CPPs, in my opinion, has reached a new level for now, and now it's a part of our routine work with creatives when you have to update them regularly, at least for main groups, for instance, and constantly look for what can be improved here. The reason I'm speaking about regular updates is that CPPs can become less performant especially for content apps, for instance, and you have to find new CPP concepts to stay at least on the same level of performance. Also, CPPs dedicated to some particular events can improve your metrics. So my advice here would be spare no effort in working on custom product pages. It's worth it.
Okay, thank you very much, Ekaterina. Thank you. So we have another question, more kind of a high level. What are the best strategies for Apple Search Ads in 2023 for highly competitive markets? Romulo, you really wanted to answer, so this one is for you, the hard one.
Okay, guess I have the best one, maybe. And first of all, thank you for the nice intro. It's a real pleasure to be here with all of you. Yeah, it's funny. Actually, you were saying in the beginning, I think the movement that we've been through in the App Store is very similar to what we're seeing with Google, right? So in the beginning, it was just organic, pure SEO, and then Google launched AdWords, of course, and that completely changed the game. And then once again, we see the same thing now happening within the App Stores. So yeah, so to the question here, so it's about best strategies for ASA, especially for highly competitive markets. I think especially the highly competitive part is super interesting, because what I see is that, yeah, we have competitors. First, they put your name on their keywords. So that's happening every time. And then also they are buying your branded keywords and also competing with you on the generic keywords on both branded and also all other sorts of keywords as well. And I think what I also struggle with a lot of the time is that we still think of it as only ASA or only ASO. And then you have the situations where maybe, for example, we are buying this keyword, but you're already ranking pretty well. So there's also some level of cannibalization that you are doing to yourself. I answer that like sometimes this is what you want, because you want to push the competition down, so you can have more exposure, share of voice, and so on. But then you also have to understand the intent of the keyword, if it's worth it to do that or not, because that can also become a huge money pit, right? You just throw money on it, and you don't really see the incremental result on your installs and revenue and so on. So I think for me, one of the biggest strategies, and it's not something completely new, because again, we've seen this from Google on the web already, is really thinking on ASA plus ASO together to create a strategy and think, hey, like these are the keywords that I really need to buy. I don't care if I already rank for it, I'm going to buy it no matter what. These are the keywords that depends on the cost. And these are the keywords that, you know what, if I just rank well organically, that's more than enough. I'm not going to spend any money on it, and just work with that. I think that's kind of an intelligence that we are, I think as an app industry, we're still kind of learning how to do it properly. And then maybe just to finalize, tying back to the CPPs, I think here's like super important. What I try to do normally is just cluster keywords by topic, and then really creating the CPPs aligned with this topic. So for example, at Impala, one of our biggest apps is a calculator. And then we have the basic calculator thing, but we also have math solving capabilities. Like you snap a picture of an equation, and then the app solves that. Then of course, for those customers, they're probably youngsters, right? They are like 14, 15 years old, they're at school and so on. So of course, all the creatives on the product page are going to be tailored for that audience. So that's something I know that I think a lot of companies are already doing it. But if I look at the market and talk to my friends and colleagues and so on, I think there are still a lot of companies not leveraging that. And again, complementing what Katarina said, totally worth it. I think uplift of like 30%, 40%, 50% just by doing this kind of alignment in between the keywords that you are buying and then also the CPP. So that's super powerful.
Great. Thank you very much, Romulo, for your answer. Thank you. We already touched base quickly on the new Apple search ads placement, but I want to kind of expand that a little bit, and what to expect from new Apple search ads placement, guys. What do you think is a future? Niels, maybe you want to answer that?
Well, I think like just going back into what was just being said, it's like competitive concasting is like bidding on your competitor has been age old, right? It's like, you know, what will be like your first solution, like in search. When I was working at an agency and was working with like mobile web clients, this is exactly what, you know, we said, like, hey, like this is what you should be doing first. But the point that was made was extremely interesting. It's like, you know, what you are doing is it actually incrementally adding like to that bottom line? Like, are you actually engaging with users that are in the market, so to say? I know that maybe for games is a bit different, that, you know, want to like, you know more about your game or like your app that you have, or are these people that actually already in your funnel and, you know, you should probably forget about? And like that, like on a channel like ASA is something extremely important. Like what we see when we speak to our customers is, yeah, you can hit a plateau relatively soon on ASA. And if you work with an agency like SplitMetrics, you know, people can help you out with new strategies. But like the bottom line is like, what are you actually looking to achieve? What kind of users are you actually looking to engage with? I think your question, like what to expect like from the placements? Well, you know, for us looking at the data, ASA already this year has grown rapidly. It is going to be growing even more in 2023. And I actually expect Apple to add even more placements and formats because, hey, they're building their own ad network. The conditions are perfect because they created the conditions themselves, right? So I expect this to be successful. We see an ROI that like ASA is, you know, it's a high intent channel. The ROI is there. And I think that they will be adding more formats. They will be expanding to more countries, more regions as well. So this is just a start. It's going to be you know, an extremely powerful player.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sorry, Jen, can I then
jump in? Of course, Romeo, go on.
Yeah, because I think it's super interesting, of course. And then with Apple, we also seeing some of the ideas with the placements on the homepage, for example, which is pretty cool. I think this then puts the whole thing in another level, right? Because I think then it's similar to what we have on YouTube, where we can buy just for one day the homepage and be there. So that's lower intent, but has like tons of branding value, right? So maybe for big brands, that like Nike shoes, like we're launching a completely new model, like totally worth it to have it there on the homepage of the App Store. So I think for ASA, as you said, like there's a lot of high intent there. But now with this new placement, seems to me they're also opening space for more branding kind of thing. And I think it's going to be challenging, of course, to measure the results from that. But it's nice to have also the opportunity to have that if it's needed. I think it's pretty cool.
I actually think that, you know, and I speak from experience here because I work like at a network that had both brand and performance advertisers on there. And like, you know, of course, we look in the data, we see in Singular as well. You as a performance advertiser have absolutely nothing to fear from brand, nothing. Because the way that Apple can actually target like your specific users and the way that we can actually like, engage, like, you know, on the actual, like, you know, place of purchase, you're going to be more relevant to them. I honestly, like, you know, brand is backfill. It's also going to be backfill for Apple. That's my prediction, at least. I might be wrong, but that's how I see it.
Okay, great answers. We have the chance for the very last question, and I can see the very interesting one in the chat. Given the limited controls of the new placement types, how do we optimize these campaigns? Max, Niels?
Max, like you got the experience, I guess.
Okay. If you're talking about Apple Search Ads, and especially Apple SplitMetrics acquire platform, so I can say that we can track all the events we need, and I can say that there is a little discrepancies in our results, but if you say about other channels, it's it's hard to analyze. It's hard to track, analyze the efficiency because there is a lot of traffic lost because of new ITT and privacy requirements. And maybe that's all from my side. Maybe guys, Kate, maybe you have to add up something.
Well, we don't have a lot of experience with this new placement. We tested this already, but for me, it's also more brand story for now, at least. But I guess then in 2023 might something change here. So I also guess that it will be more and more new placements from Apple Search Ads side. So let's see how it goes. For now, I can't say we have great results, which I can share with you, unfortunately. But we continue our tests and yeah, who knows?
Okay, great. Thank you very much. So we have the time only for the one last question. So it's pretty tactical. The installation from Apple Search Ads contribute to higher keyword rankings for the keywords that ad displayed for?
I think I can go.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Like, so if you check the documents from Apple and so on, they will never clearly state if that is the case or not. But what I have seen, but based on just my experience, and that there is a correlation there, but it's not only about the rankings itself, to be honest. I also have seen situations where, for example, we're buying this keyword that we do not have anywhere on the metadata, and then we stop buying that keyword, and then we still rank for it. I think this is pretty interesting, like also showing Apple that, yes, this app is also relevant for that keyword, although we do not have it anywhere on the metadata. It's a bit strange, to be honest. Like that shouldn't be happening. Like according to the documents, the wikis, and everything that Apple has been saying. But looking at reality, you can see that it does happen. And then I think actually next year we're going to figure this out, because Apple is about to launch the conversion rate benchmarks, right? And they said that they're going to release this by early next year. My assumption here is that they are using day one retention and the CTRs to actually know that, like, which app is relevant to what. And then with Apple Search Ads, they can see that, right? Because they're buying this keyword, and now they know, like, based on your retention, for example, that your app indeed delivers what's being promising. And then say, oh, okay, so then you are good. I'm going to rank you here because of that. For now, it's a lot of speculation and just empiric experience, basically. But what I have seen is that yes, there is a very strong correlation there.
Agree with Rommel, of course, but discussed this question with our ASO team regarding this correlation, and what we found, it depends on current ranking of your app. In case it's quite high, it might be you will not see big correlation here, but in case your rank is not high enough, it might help. This is what I also see from my experience here.
Thank you, Katerina. Okay, guys, it was a very interesting session. Unfortunately, we have to wrap up, right? If you guys from the audience have any further questions, please find myself on LinkedIn, maybe panelists. I can promise you I'll come back to you with the answers as soon as I can. Now it's time to say big thank you to our wonderful panelists. And I want personally to say thank you to Niels, Romula, Ekaterina, and Maxim. Great panel. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you, Eugene.
Thank you. It's a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.